and welcome to another edition of A World Gone Mad, Season 1, Episode 3737. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf, and what do I do for those of you that are new? And I didn't mean that to rhyme, but I just did with some time. Okay, stop, Jeff. Being silly today. Basically what I do is I comment on the national and world news and politics and give my opinion from a democratic liberal slant. And if you don't like my opinion, tough. Write me, text me, tell me where I'm wrong. But that's where we try to make some sense from the craziness in what's happening in this world gone mad, like I said. So let's jump right in with the following. And one quick reminder, when I record this, I'm usually recording this like I am today on a Monday. So things may have happened after I recorded the episode. So be aware of that. You know, I may say something, this is what's going to come up. And you go, well, it already happened, Jeff. You didn't kind of pay attention. No, it's not that I didn't pay attention. I can't record live because things are always going to change. So this is what's happening at the moment in time. So as I say this, time is running out to avoid a work stoppage at ports along the entire East and Gulf coasts in what could become the most disruptive strike to the U.S. economy in decades. Now, members of the International Longshoremen's Association are set to go on strike at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time Tuesday at 36 facilities spread across 14 port authorities. There are few signs that a deal could be reached by the deadline set by the ILA and the United States Maritime Alliance, which uses the acronym USMX. So a big strike apparently not to be avoided, which is going to cause shortages. So I'm telling the listeners right now, expect shortages of bananas, booze, chocolate, cherries. My girlfriend's going to be annoyed. If there's a long port strike, quick, run to the store, stock up, hurry. Okay? Especially those bananas, booze, chocolate, and cherries. Let's talk about the presidential race between Kamala Harris and Donald Delusional. Some of the latest polls in, and this is among Latino voters. This came across in the last 24 to 36 hours. Among Latino voters, Harris has 54% and Donald Delusional 40%. And that's kind of low historically for a Democrat. The 54% is a little troublesome. Here's the breakdown. On the abortion issue, they asked Latino voters who would be better suited to handle the abortion issue. Harris was rated better by 32%. Which is good news for her. On the competency and effective leadership issue, Harris is ahead by 17%. On who could handle the economy better, Donald has that from the Latino voters by 4%. On inflation, Donald again by 9%. On border immigration, Trump is ahead by 13%. Now remember, this is among Latino voters. They also asked Latino voters, which part do you identify more with? Which party, rather, not part. If you go all the way back to 2012, this is the breakdown. Latino voters identified more with the Democratic Party, 62% as of 2012. And at now current 2024, 49%. So Latino voters are going over to the Republican Party in the last 8 years. And that's very troublesome. They did a new poll of young voters and who is better or leading between Harris and Trump. Harris has a commanding 31-point lead over Donald. In an an exclusive AARP poll, older women show a major shift towards Harris over Trump. Women voters 50 years old and plus up support Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris over Republican former President Donald Trump by a 12 percentage point margin. largely because of how these voters rate the candidates on pocketbook, retirement issues. An exclusive AARP poll released this past Friday. Unfortunately, in the area of where Harris falls dramatically short, she just can't make any headway with stupid, uneducated white males. That category is Donald's domain. You know, everyone has their own definition of a word. And the word lunacy, all of the listeners listening can come up with their own definition. Here's my definition of lunacy for the week, okay? Former President Donald Trump. You see, he's laughing. Jeff's laughing. Well, he had a rally in a venue, and it was a smaller venue because it was relocated to a different place. This was the Wisconsin rally. And in a post on Truth Social, Donald claimed, ready for the word lunacy definition, he claimed that Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden are going out of their way to hinder his campaign efforts. Donald says, we had one of the biggest crowds, wait till you hear this, we had one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen on Saturday in Wisconsin, where a terrible migrant crime recently occurred. We ended up having to use a 750-seat theater and had to turn away more than, ready, 50,000 people. That's right. Donald said the venue was 750 people who showed up because they had to turn away 50,000 people, and that's Harris and Biden's fault. Trump also highlighted that the Secret Service could not provide proper protection for him during the event because they were tasked with the president of Iran, whom he alleged is doing everything possible to kill me at the United Nations event. I will leave you with the last statement from Donald for you, the listeners, in your mind or out loud, wherever you are right now, to say what you feel. I so wish I could be there to hear all your comments. I want to talk about DirecTV, Dish TV, you know, all those satellite services. I don't know if any of you are still using them. I hope you are. Well, DirecTV announced today it's buying rival Dish Network, ending multiple decades of on and off talks about the satellite services merging. Now, the companies have struggled to retain subscribers in the streaming era, as platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon's Prime Video, YouTube TV have gained traction, peeling millions of subscribers away from a pay TV with lower price tags and on-demand content. DirecTV and Dish have found it increasingly difficult to justify rising subscription costs, worsening already dramatic cord cutting. The company said the combination of DirecTV and Dish will benefit U.S. video consumers by creating a more robust competitive force in a video industry dominated by streaming services owned by large tech companies and programmers. Well, here's the deal, the financial side of it for those of you interested in that sort of stuff. Under the deal, DirecTV will pay Dish owner EchoStar $1. That's right, you didn't hear me wrong. $1 for Dish in exchange for assuming its billions of dollars in debt. So Dish owners get $1 and DirecTV get to own Dish and the billions of dollars in debt. Billions, not millions. Private equity firm TPG, meanwhile, will acquire AT&T's remaining 70% stake in DirecTV. The move comes 9 years after AT&T, who really sucked when they did this, purchased DirecTV in 2015, only to sell its 30% share to TPG in 2021, a DirecTV spokesperson said. So look, we personally dropped DirecTV a while ago and went to streaming. I don't know about you, but I am not thrilled anymore, obviously, with DirecTV. Never liked Dish in the first place. Streaming is fine. So if you're still doing DirecTV and Dish, run away. Go to streaming. Ask your friends who are doing it. Much nicer situation than dealing with DirecTV and the lousy service and the lousy, just everything about the satellite companies. Let me talk about for a minute about how to reach me. Those of you know we have an email address. I have a, you can text during the app on your that you're using, like Apple app or Spotify app. I believe you can text in the middle of the podcast, stop and send me a text. And by the way, I want to thank a lot of you this past episode. You shocked me. I almost had a stroke. You wrote me with email. You texted me. You gave me your comments. Thank you. The only thing I want to add is if you do that, just give your first name, especially on the texting. Hi, it's Margaret from Des Moines, Iowa. Just let me know. It'd be nice to know where you're from. So, A World Gone Mad Podcast at gmail.com. A World Gone Mad Podcast. You got to put the word podcast in there at gmail.com. Someone asked me about that and couldn't get through to me. So don't forget to do that. And guys, what would really help me is on Apple, on Spotify, leave a rating, a comment on the post, on the episode. Some of you have done that and has moved me up in the rankings. When you rate 1 to 5 stars, hopefully 5, and you write a comment, that does push me up the ladder board. So email me, text me, join the Wolf Pack, email me and ask for the link. I will give you that. And there's also a private Facebook page that when you become a member of the Wolf Pack, I will let you know about. I appreciate that, and especially the comments. Keep them coming because that really does help. It energizes me on the show to do bigger and bolder. So leave comments, first name, and thank you, everyone. Let me get very serious right now. The Israel and Hezbollah, the latest in the situation. There is at this moment the potential of ground troops from Israel into Lebanon. In fact, just right before I started turning on this microphone to record, Israel is firing into Lebanon, and that signals the possible incursion into Lebanon with troops. So this may have already happened by the time you hear the episode. And just early Monday, an unspecified number of troops in the U.S. were put on prepare to deploy orders. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said on Monday, Secretary Austin increased the readiness of additional U.S. troops to deploy, elevating our preparedness to respond to various contingencies. I'm just not going to get into specifics for operational security reasons, but these forces cover a wide range of capabilities and missions. So U.S. troops were put on alert. Look, the Middle East region is not going to change significantly in the power structure, no matter what Israel does. Let's be honest about that. Even with the death of the leader or leaders of Hezbollah, there are too many factions, such as Israel and Palestine, between Iran and the Sunni state. President Biden was recently asked about an Israeli ground invasion into Lebanon, and is he comfortable with that happening? And he stated that he's more aware than you might know, but what he's comfortable with is a ceasefire right now. The United States has been blindsided so many times by Israel. They don't know about the assassination, or they didn't know about the assassination of Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah. A lot of other actions by Israel, because Israel's methodology right now is to ask for forgiveness instead of permission from the United States and other allies. First of all, let's be very straightforward about something. Ceasefires are not going to be happening because with the structure that's going to be in place already in that region, it's going to be hard to implement a ceasefire. And second, to maintain that ceasefire with all the loose threads in that region. That's a blatant fact. Look, it's obviously a situation with this that a lot of people are not aware of. If you're against Israel and their actions, no country like Israel should have to live with the fact that they have enemies surrounding their country. That's just unacceptable. And the death of the Hezbollah leader, Nasrallah, is a positive thing. But make no mistake, obviously this is a dangerous situation, and it is a powder keg. So, we're at a very nitroglycerin moment here. So, to use a sports analogy, we're early in the game right now. Let's say we're in the first quarter of this ball game, and that's where we stand. So, minute by minute, again, this already could have happened. Ground troops into Lebanon, and how does Iran react? And how does Egypt and everyone else in that region react? This is dangerous. War and politics, right? That's what it seems to be about, folks. War and politics. I want to switch over to politics for a brief moment, because this has been on my mind, and we have elections coming up for the president, but we also have other elections coming up. And I want to just say two words. Ted Cruz. Ted every which way but loose Cruz. Ted Cruz changes his comments and positions constantly throughout his career, like most politicians, but he does it heavily. He hates Donald Trump. He thinks he's dangerous. Then he loves Donald Trump. Then he says, okay, this is wrong what we did on this side. But then he goes, no, it's not wrong. This man is disingenuous, is a suck-up, and he's in a race right now with Colin Allred for the Senate seat in Texas. It's tightening between him and Colin, which is good news. Before, Ted was very much ahead of Colin. Here's the latest polls. Ted Cruz, 48%. Allred, 44%. Undecided, 8%. Ted Cruz, while being a sharp politician, is just not a straightforward person. And I would love to see him get defeated and we take the Senate seat in Texas. Here's another example of a phony, and that's in my home state of Arizona, Kari Lake. Kari, what the hell is your problem, Lake? Kari still thinks that the governor's race she was running for last time was stolen from her. She still claims she won the governor's race in Arizona. Sound familiar, everyone? Right now, Gallego, depending on which poll you look at, is leading Lake anywhere between 6 percentage points and 13 percentage points, with very few voters undecided. So that's a good trend. Please let's eliminate Kari. What the hell are you thinking, Lake? And go Rubin in Arizona. All right, let's not forget about another crazy Republican, okay? Lindsey Graham. I love Lindsey. Lindsey wishy-washy, tepid Graham. He was asked by Jake Tapper, what did he think about Donald's recent comment that Kamala Harris is mentally disturbed or mentally challenged, and she was born that way. If you haven't heard that, that's what Donald Delusional said. Kamala Harris is mentally disturbed or mentally challenged, and she was born that way, he said. And of course, instead of Lindsey showing some cojones and making a definitive statement, he basically said, well, you know, of course she's not mentally challenged, but she's a crazy liberal and she's crazy with her policies and she's crazy. And this is liberal and she is so liberal and that's liberal policies and she's crazy liberal and on and on and on. These Republicans just do not have a heart, a soul, a set of balls to take a stand to say, hey, that's plain wrong. And that can't be the rhetoric of our party and our people in our party. I am so sick and tired of garbage like this verbiage coming from these long-term, weak-kneed senators, congressmen, etc. And before I get off this subject, I have to leave you with one more over-the-top nutcake, and that's Lieutenant Governor Mark Raunchy Robinson. He was apparently in the hospital this weekend because he sustained burns during a rally because he apparently touched a tailpipe. I don't know why the hell he did that or what happened to him, but that's what happened. Anyways, the polls are breaking further and further away from him. Republicans are distancing themselves from him. He's losing his race for governor. good. He shouldn't be anywhere near any lever of power, such as a seat in governorship or a Senate seat, Congress, dog catcher, postmaster general. I don't care. Get him the hell away from our country. Please, to the powers above, to the voters across this country, wake the hell up. Lake, Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Loonball, Lauren Bobblehead, get these people out of office ASAP. I would like to talk about the debate coming up Tuesday night with Tim Walz and JD Dumbass. By the way, someone texted me who's a Republican and said, you do the same thing and you make names and you say disrespectful things. You know, the only reason why I do that is because Donald Delusional started this 8 years ago. And just when he doesn't like somebody, Mark, Little Rubio, Little Marco, and the Rocket Man. And that's why I do it. I don't want to call people names. But Donald has forced me, particularly, into that mindset because they fight dirty and Democrats were always nice over the years. So I'm fighting dirty as well. Have you seen the commercials, by the way? In my state in Arizona, Kamala Harris apparently let out tens of thousands of people that slaughtered families and killed their daughters because she let immigrants pour over at the border. I'm not joking. If you heard some of these silly, dumb, blatantly lies on Kamala, and yes, I know I'm not naive. Commercials are that way, but not to the level it's been in the last 5 to 10 years. What's happening in your state? Text me, email me, let me know. I would like to know what commercials are running in your state. But I'm getting back-to-back commercials. Kamala is terrible and a dangerous radical liberal, and she's going to kill everyone. And just, it's mind-boggling. So let's talk about the debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. I'll use his name for this purpose. I'm nervous. Let me tell you for the following reason. Tim Walz recently stated, he actually reiterated, that he's nervous about this debate coming up, and he's not very good at debates. And in fact, he told them that on the vetting team for Kamala before he was picked as VP. So I'm nervous. So what am I going to watch for? What should you watch for? I know you have your set of criteria, other than Tim looks great and JD looks bad. But let's drill down. You will, of course, have your opinions. You may hear this podcast after you watch the debate. Some of you may have listened to the podcast an hour before the debate happens. But these are the things that I'm going to watch for. Is Tim Walz calm? Do I see Walz not get sidetracked by J.D. Vance and his silly attacks? Was Tim charming? Did Tim take his time? Was he clear in answering the questions from the moderators? Did Tim look, and the key word is look, not scared or nervous? If Tim could be the charming person he was when he was in Pennsylvania, when he was introduced for the first time as Harris's VP, then this is a good debate for him. Anything under this could honestly sway the people out there who are undecided to think that, Tim is not really presidential material, and if anything happens to Kamala, etc. Okay? Now, on the other hand, what is the lunacy factor of J.D. Vance during this debate? Did he look and sound crazy? Did he say statements that are just bizarre and conspiratorial? Did he look overly animated, overly hyper? So that's for me what I'm looking for. And by the way, the Team Trump is portraying, get this, Tim Walz is an excellent debater. He's well known to be a great debater. No, he's not. But they're setting the bar so high that anything that Tim stumbles on, they'll say, wow, he was so good and JD made him nervous. Okay? So when you look at the debate and you have your opinions on what happened, email me, text me, let me know how you feel in this election for president after you saw the VP candidates debate. What did you feel? And email me in general. First name, where you're from, city, state, country. Let me know, everyone. I love your emails and comments. Join the Wolfpack, rate, rank. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and Apple. I will be back next week with another podcast of A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, your host, And until next time, stay hopeful.